Do you enjoy a movie where you can sit back, relax, and turn your brain off at the door? This one's not for you. Cloud Atlas, a very complex movie brought to you by the Wachowskis. They're the ones that did the Matrix movies back in the day, and they've done other movies as well. This is a story, or should I say 6 stories, that are loosely connected, starring the same actors, playing parts that are often different genders, different races, different ages, and they all kind of tell separate stories that have the same themes and the same emotional beats. And if it sounds a little complex, well, it is. And that's one of the things right off the bat you need to know about Cloud Atlas is that you're going to have to pay attention. It's not one you can just take lightly. And I would say, however, there's a really important thing here, not to pay too much attention. I found myself distracted by trying to find all the little nuances of where the stories were connected and how they played together and what the different characters meant. And the truth of the matter is, I think this movie plays much differently and much better if you just take the stories, each of the 6 separate stories, kind of on their own account, so that you know you're watching kind of 6 movies in one, and I think you'll enjoy that much better. That's how I kind of did the second half of the movie after I gave up, and actually enjoyed that much more than I enjoyed the first half, where I was trying to figure everything out. So that's number one thing I would say, is know you're going to see 6 movies and not one. And you know, sometimes I just want to see one movie. You know, when there's all these different things to keep track of, it makes it a little bit hard to do. But in this case, I think they wove them together pretty well. They had this really interesting way of playing the emotional beats of the stories together, so that your emotion that you're feeling in these different stories carried on from one story to the next. And I think that's kind of the overall theme and message of the movie, is that humanity, and that these stories we tell, no matter what times they're from, because the 6 different stories are from 6 different time periods, that we kind of have those same themes, and it's all connected. And that's the reason the actors play all these different roles, because as humanity we're all connected. And I think that was really kind of one of the main themes of what was going on here, and it was really beautifully presented. That's another thing I'll give the Wachowskis, is they've got a real eye for the visual. They know how to turn that giant screen into a painting canvas. They do a really good job with that, and it is a beautiful movie to watch. Does it completely hold together? I don't think it does. I don't love this movie. I like this movie, and I think there's a lot to really respect about the audacity of this movie. I mean, it's a high level of difficulty to pull something like this off, and they do fairly well, but overall it just kind of slightly misses the mark for me. And I think some of that has to do with the multiple performances. Some of them were really hard to buy in, because you can tell this is, you know, a white woman playing a black man, or, you know, an Asian man playing a white woman, or, you know, it just all across, and it just, some of it really took you out. In fact, I found myself at some points, and maybe this is the Tom Hanks factor, and I'll talk about him more specifically here in a second, but he was in such different makeup, I almost felt like he was in, like, hosting SNL and doing all these different sketch characters where he was a different person. It really was distracting in some parts. The performances, though, are really good despite that. Tom Hanks is great, Halle Berry is great, Hugh Grant is great. Jim Broadbent is really good. In every single story he plays, I bought Jim Broadbent. I thought he did an amazing job. He is, man, and his story of the 6 stories, the one that focused on him, was my favorite and the one I enjoyed the most, and it had some comedic elements to it, probably had to do with that as well. Man, there's a lot here, and that's what, at the end of the day, what I would say about Cloud Atlas is there's a lot to chew on, a lot to dissect. There's some interesting things, and it's quite an effort to do something like this, but it just falls a little bit short.